this is Dalia again, and I'm reading The Vampire Diaries, The Struggle. I'm on part 6. Chapter 6, part 1. Stephen sat in the Gilbert living room, agreeing politely with whatever it was Aunt Judith was saying. The older woman was uncomfortable having him here. You didn't need to be a mind reader to know that. But she was trying, and so Stephen was trying, too. He wanted Elena to be happy. Elena, even when he wasn't looking at her, he was aware of her more than of anything else in the room. Her living presence beat against his skin like sunlight against closed eyelids. When he actually let himself turn to face her, it was a sweet shock to all his senses. He loved her so much. He never saw her as Catherine anymore. He had almost forgotten how much she looked like the dead girl. In any case, there were so many differences. Elena had the same pale gold hair and creamy skin. The same delicate features as Catherine. But there the resemblance ended. Her eyes looking violent in the firelight just now, but normally a blue as dark as lapis lazuli, were neither timid nor childlike as Catherine's had been. On the contrary, there were windows to her soul which shone like a eager flame behind them. Elena was Elena, and her image had been replaced. Elena was Elena, and her image had replaced Catherine's gentle ghost in his heart. But her very strength made their love dangerous. He hadn't been able to resist her last week when she'd offered him blood. When she'd offered him her blood. Granted, he might have died without it, but it had been far too soon for Elena's own safety. For the 100th time, his eyes moved over Elena's face, and searching for the telltale signs of exchange. Was that creamy skin a little paler? Was her expression slightly more remote? They would have to be careful from now on. He would have to be more careful. Make sure to feed often, satisfy himself with animals, so he wouldn't be tempted. Never let the need get too strong. Now that he thought of it, he was hungry right now. The dry ache, the burning, was spreading along his upper jaw, whispering through his veins and capillaries. He should be out in the woods, senses alert to catch the slightest crackle of dry twigs, muscles ready for the chase, not here by a fire watching the tracery of pale blue veins in Elena's throat. That slim throat turned as Elena looked at him. Do you want to go to that party tonight? We can take Aunt Judith's car, she said. But you ought to stay for dinner first, said Aunt Judith quickly. We can pick up something on the way. Elena meant they could pick up something for her, Stephen thought. He himself would chew and swallow ordinary food if he had to, though it did him no good, and he had long since lost any taste for it. No, his appetites were more particular now, he thought. And if they went to this party, it would mean hours more before he could feed. But he nodded agreement to Elena. If you want to, he said. She did want to. She was set on it. He'd seen that from the beginning. All right, then I'd better change. He followed her to the base of the stairway. Wear something with a high neck, a sweater, he told her in a voice too low to carry. She glanced through the doorway to the empty living room and said, It's all right. They're almost healed already, see? She tugged her lacy collar down, twisting her head to one side. Stephen stared, mesmerized, at the 2 round marks on the fine green skin. They were very light, translucent, burgundy color, like much watered wine. He set his teeth and forced his eyes away. I gotta stop. This is part 1 of chapter 6.